The writer, or for that matter, the speaker, conceives his thought whole as a unity, but must express it in a line of words. Okay, so let's just focus on the writer. We won't worry about the speaker. The writer comes up with ideas and can kind of think of them all together, all at once, those ideas. But when it comes to writing them out, has to write them step by step because they're using words. So the words are linear. You can only look at one word at a time in order, whereas an idea is something that you can imagine as a whole. And then we move on to the reader takes something linear that is just those words one at a time and has to find out what the whole idea was and what it meant. So they're talking about the communication process of transforming, like, this is what I see in my head, I turn it into words, I give it to somebody else, they take those words and they try and turn it back into what I saw in my head. It actually works. From it, get the original wholeness of thought. That is, get in the everyday sense of making sense of. But reconstruct is slightly better because what you're imagining is a process where the writer takes something apart, turns it into a string of words, and then the reader puts it back together to get the idea. So reconstruct actually works slightly better, even though get would be okay, especially in everyday usage.
So
So it's having the thought. So you come up with an
conceive.
idea. Yeah, to conceive something is to have an idea. So whatever idea you're having, it is
It means form
conceived
in
in
your
the mind.
mind. Form
That's
in your
right,
mind. Yeah.
forming a thought in your mind.
So
Yeah,
conceive. Okay.
yeah. So you form a thought, and the thought is a whole thought,
And
but the
why
way
the
they
and why the,
express it.
yeah
Sorry.
why the author here said that take this line of symbols. We don't have a symbol like stars or blah blah blah. I don't know why symbols.
They mean the words and letters that make up the words.
Mm.
The line of words is the line of symbols.
Mm.
So it becomes a representation, a symbolic representation of thought. So, and then once you realize that, that's what's going on here, the next sentence, there's a bit of a contrast because writing is more formal, speaking in front of an audience is more formal, conversation is a contrast, right? So to say that there's little difficulty in conversation because of all of these cues, whereas there's a lot that it's much more challenging to write and then to read.
Yeah.
Um,
I will show you here. Ramit reconstruct, as you mentioned, and answer. Yeah.
So the first sentence is about an inherently difficult process. The second sentence is about a contrast with that inherently difficult process, which is when we actually just have a conversation. There is a dialogue. The listener can cut in at any time. To cut in means to join the conversation, to stop the other person talking so that you can ask something.
So like me, for example, I'm cutting you, but when I cut in, it will cause problems for you to concentrate. Your concentration must be, lost. I don't know.
But the point is about meaning. If we're trying to decide what an idea is, it's much harder if I have to write it down and then I send it to you, you read it later and try to figure it out. That's much more complex, or more difficult, I should say, than if we have a conversation where you can say, hold on, that doesn't make sense. I need to say this, you need to say more about this for it to make sense to me. So what they're talking about is a contrast between the challenge of a formal type of communication, either writing or speaking in front of an audience, versus informal conversation. Yeah, and then we've got a further advantage is of group discussion. So where people can arrive on those ideas, arrive at that understanding or that meaning.
Why is it a linear sequence of words?
Mm.
Maybe it is no linear sequence of words. I don't know.
So the linear sequence is an idea from the first sentence. That is
Symbols, line of
yeah,
symbols.
yeah, when someone is writing, they're assembling words and letters into a line that you read in one order. Whereas if you're having a conversation, or even better, a group discussion, you don't have to move in just that one order through the words. You can find other ways to make sense of an idea. It doesn't have to be like, if it's a bad conversation, someone will just say, no, 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 this is what I mean, and this is what it always has to mean. But if it's a good conversation, people can ask questions, they can explain things in different ways. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, so you're imagining, again, it's like that idea of the blind people trying to make sense of what an elephant is. If you have one person and he has to feel in the dark what an elephant is, and then he tells someone else, I felt something with the trunk and tusks and so on. Whereas if everybody's working together to figure out what's in front of them,
But
from the perspective of deciding what something means, the linear sequence of words, they're saying that that's actually a barrier to meaning. Whereas if you can have a conversation or a discussion, you're overcoming the barrier. Yeah.
okay, yeah. And have you heard the
Yeah. So coming together at a point, converging on something is coming together. Um, you would be more talking, yeah, it's multiple somethings are converging on one thing. So it's the idea of multiple things. The opposite would be diverging. So, you know, we went out uh, on a hike as a group, but our paths diverged. Two of my friends went one way, two of my friends went another, and I went a third way. At the end of the hike, we all converged on one location
yeah,
at the end of the trail. Yeah.
yeah. And also, please explain the
Yeah, okay. I think physical is slightly confusing here, isn't it? But
physical tone.
they're talking about the tone that we give to our spoken words.
Last one, physical tone. Yeah.
We do that as a physical process. So that's quite different from putting words on a page or on a screen and hoping that we can communicate our feelings or our meaning that way. So this is tone is one of these many cues that we can give each other in a conversation. They're saying that that's physical tone because it's something that you can use when you're physically present in a space together. And it also involves things like modifying your voice.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.